Hey, everybody. So, if you noticed, we actually had a podcast episode come out on Tuesday. Yes, today is Tuesday that this podcast episode is coming out because it is a bonus podcast episode inspired by a recent conversation that I had with one of my clients, Addy. Addy is a 24-year-old college student who was struggling with constipation, gas, bloating, and eczema when she started working with me. She'd already tried many other things, including doctors' visits, labs, changing her nutrition, exercise, resting, you name it. She was a boss and she was not getting the results that she wanted, despite working so hard. Addy and I are having her 3-month follow-up call, which is a call that I have halfway through the total time that I work with my clients. And it was so exciting to have this call and reflect on all the changes and improvements she's seen in her health in just 3 months that I asked her if I could record our call for you all to hear. Addy was so gracious, and she has opened her story and sharing with you what it was like to start with me, things that we've done, and the changes that she's seen in her health, as well as some of the fears she had going in and where she's at currently with those fears in her health and in her finances and in her future for her own health and body. You are about to hear the first 30 minutes of our 3-month follow-up call, and I'm going to work with Addy 3 more months, which I have to admit I'm very excited about because the things that we talked about in the 30 minutes after what you guys will hear was amazing. We have an amazing plan to really clean up and continue to tackle some of the lingering symptoms that Addy is dealing with. If you have ever been wondering what it's like to work with me, if you will get results, or if it's worth the investment, this bonus episode is for you. Welcome to the Better Belly podcast, where we find freedom from food restrictions, we increase energy in our lives, and we begin to feel more healthy and vibrant than ever by finding the root causes of our health problems. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a marathon runner, functional medicine health coach, certified craniosacral therapist, gut health nerd, lover of Jesus, and owner of Better Belly Therapies, a clinic based in Ann Arbor, Michigan that works with both virtual and local clients to help them achieve the best health of their life. I am here to walk with you on your journey to a better belly and a better life. We're going to go beyond popping a probiotic and just checking out our poop. In this show, we are going to go deep into gut transformation strategies that last for your entire life. If you are ready to feel your best, get ready to roll. You are in the right place. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, Addy, you just were sharing with some of the changes you were going through, and I was wondering, could you share some of them again? They were very exciting.
Yeah, I was dealing with constipation almost on a daily basis, bloating and gas regularly. And right now, I don't have those same issues anymore. I used to not have any energy, but now I'm getting up in the morning with ease. And I've actually just naturally lost weight because during my whole gut issue thing, I started to gain weight and I started to struggle to even have the energy to go to the gym. But now I really feel like I'm back to my old self.
Yeah. I mean, you actually, when you got on the call, you look different since we have video for each other, which is amazing. I love it.
Yeah. My mom told me that my face looked thinner, and I also just my skin looked better, which I just feel so happy about because I was heavier and I felt heavier, and my skin was duller, and I just feel so much more in my body, which I'm so happy about.
Right, right. And actually, a lot of times that face, the difference we see in our face is specifically that I'm really noticing a correlation with, it's not so much like weight, but it's actually inflammation, because the head has so much lymph and blood, and it's so important for us to have like healthy brains and healthy everything that goes on in the head. And the neck's a very small kind of pathway for all this to go through. And so if there is inflammation, we really see it in kind of the neck, the jawline, the face, the collarbone area. So I'm curious, do your fingers and feet even feel like almost like less puffy?
Yes, definitely. I feel I didn't really want to put on rings or jewelry. Um, and I was getting these out of nowhere knee pain and wrist pain, which has almost completely gone away. And there was no previous injury, and there was nothing that I was doing that was leading to that. But I just think it was my overall inflammation that was just making my joints just sort of have a dull ache. Yeah. Now in general, I just feel less puffy, and it just feels, whenever I have any sort of like flare up or I get kind of bloated, I forget that that's how I always used to feel. And that was my normal. And now this is my new normal. So I look back at it and I'm like, I can't believe I dealt with that for so long. It was so terrible. And now I'm just so happy that it's not like that anymore.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I'm curious from your perspective on things, because you've been working for 3 months doing what we were recommending. Do you feel like you understand or can think of specific things that you remember doing, whether it was your diet or rest, or I don't know, we talked about Epsom salt baths or certain supplements. Were there certain points in time where you're like, wow, this is really helping? What's been that experience for you?
Yeah, it was, for me, the one supplement that really made a huge difference was the GI detox, because right at the beginning of my treatment, like of my protocol, I was having really bad headaches because I was cutting out caffeine, dairy, and fermented foods and stuff like that. And I didn't really think that that would have that much of an effect on me, but I felt honestly pretty sick for the first like week and a half, 2 weeks, in a really substantial way. And the GI detox was something that really helped me mediate my headache symptoms, and help me with like beginning sort of regular bowel movements again. And I think then a lot of just like gentle movement, and then getting into more of my usual, which was more rigorous movement, became more and more available to me as I went through the protocol. Which now I didn't think at the beginning. I used to love lifting weights and used to love running, but it was just so tiring and way more than it used to be. And now I can go back to it, and my muscles feel sore, but I don't feel like I need to lay down for the next 3 days like I used to. And so that has been a really significant change.
Yeah, I remember when and I'm so glad you've been great at communicating with me at really helpful times. Like I remember you emailed me and you're like, hey, I'm getting headaches frequently. Is there anything I can do? And I said, hey, let's up your GI detox. And I remember I said, let me know how it goes, because we want to make sure we don't just throw stuff at you and it doesn't work. And it was amazing because you messaged me back. And once we got you to a high enough amount, you're like, the headaches are gone. And it was cool because we didn't need to use ibuprofen or other things, but we actually were able to target the fact that your body was dumping toxins at a rate so fast that we needed just support catching them, which was the point of the supplement. I'm curious now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, where are you at with GI detox? Are you taking it at all right now, or did you stop it or reduce it?
I ended up with time as those symptoms went down. I sort of let up on the dosage, and then right now, I only use it if I'm feeling like I'm feeling kind of almost like congested, not like necessarily like sinus congested, but just sort of like my head kind of hurts. I sort of feel like my body is holding on to stuff. But I don't really take it anymore because I don't, as long as I'm like keeping to no gluten or dairy, it has really, really cleared up a lot of those issues. And those are the types of things, or like too much caffeine or something. A lot of those things are things that can sort of back me up and get my body out of the rhythm that it's in.
I love that, because it kind of reflects back on the idea that your body under normal circumstances is going to be able to handle the normal average everyday detoxifying it does. And then it's just when there's an excess load that we use supplements, and same with any other kind of supplement that we're using. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about later on today, or later on in this call, is just checking in. Where are you at with all the supplements? And you'll either have stopped something that you don't need anyways, or you knew to stop, or there might be some more that will say, hey, let's go off this one, or let's reduce this one, make sure your symptoms don't come back. But your body's supposed to maintain homeostasis, right? Like that's the goal. So even hearing that you don't need the GI detox and then it keeps off the symptoms, other than maybe when you get a weird exposure to something, or I know you had emailed me, you're like, hey, it's some gluten and dairy. I'm really feeling it. Did it help? Because I know we didn't email back after that. Did what I recommended, I think Epsom salt baths, GI detox, did that end up helping there?
Yeah. That really helped, and it helped me reset. And I just sort of just went back to going with the GI detox, supported me going back to my like non-gluten, non-dairy diet. And after about a week and a half, I didn't have the same sort of like almost withdrawal symptoms that I had at the beginning. It was more just sort of clearing out. And within a week and a half, I was completely back to normal. I wasn't as inflamed or tired or headachy or irritable. I was very irritable in the beginning, and my emotions were all over the place, which was really odd for me. I'm in no way identify as a person, but I came in to see you at first because my moods were all over the place, which was really, really strange. And I started to get a taste of that again when I kind of stepped away from the stuff that was working. And I was like, no, thanks. I want to just stay on what I think works for me. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, that's actually really common too. As in, like, I did that. I remember kind of in different parts of my health journey thinking, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe I can eat these things, or being at a party or relaxing one weekend. And you're kind of like, I would love to, like, everybody else gets to eat like outside of what they're normal eating, and I'll try it too. And then you realize I'm not like everybody. Like, I can't do that. And there's not a lot of shame about it. I was actually just so glad you even emailed me, because I was like, I think I even said so in your email response, like, hey, we try things out. We realize, oh yeah, this really is the right path. And then we just help our bodies get back to homeostasis. So yeah, a week and a half, that sounds pretty average, I think. And definitely shorter, probably because you were taking some intentional steps like GI detox, Epsom salt bath. What in the last 3 months, I mean, and actually I'm really curious, because 3 months is, I think sometimes when I tell people, and I don't know if you had this feeling when I told you, hey, it's going to take 3 months initially to like see some really big, like daily long-term change. Did that feel long to you when I told it to you? And now looking back, did that feel long even still? I'm curious how that experience was for you.
I'd say I had tried different diets, I told you before, in the past, of more getting a grain-free diet, which actually made a lot of my symptoms worse. And then and that was so hard because there's nothing to boost my energy. So I was just really, really low at the bottom of the barrel. And so for this, there'd be specific moments when it would feel long, and where what you just said about, oh well, everyone's eating this and I just want to eat that. And or gee, there's like this new pastry that is at the store I like, and I'm like, oh, that looks so good. And then I'd be like, well, I still have, like, I have to wait. And at first it was like I felt like I was counting down the days until the 3 months were over, but now I don't really it really has become like that period of time was really important for me to make the shift because I had sort of built my diet a lot around gluten and dairy as sort of general staples. And it definitely took me 3 months to sort of get in the habit of eating other things and also being comfortable advocating for myself and saying no, like especially eating in groups, being like, no, I'm not gonna eat that, or oh, I guess I'll just have this, and trying to plan for that. Because I never want my diet to ever be an inconvenience for me or others. So I've just been able to successfully find ways to um, incorporate what my body needs into group settings, and it hasn't been an issue now. And so I'm glad that it's made that transition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting how in some ways we then see that health and our health, where our health is at, ends up, maybe the barrier isn't even knowledge. It's just, oh, now I have to kind of practically work around certain things. But once you know those little tactics, maybe that's having a snack in your purse, or your friends, I know my friends have actually gotten used to knowing what I can or can't eat. And they don't feel awkward about it anymore. They just know I might only be able to eat a certain portion of food if there's like we all bring food together, or they know I'm curious, have you had some friends even say like, oh, we know Addie's hanging out with us, so like we have to make sure that there's a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza, or we need to, have you had some friends even kind of get used to that?
Yeah, I actually, it's funny because my mom's diet is already, she has had similar issues to me, but she never saw anyone. So just over time, figured out she pretty much just cut gluten and dairy almost completely out of her diet. And so it was nice being it was almost already done for me. But when I visited some of my friends, it was really nice because there was like a vegan ice cream place, and which is so good. I'd been to it before, and I was like, great, I can feel like I'm enjoying being out with my friends, and they're enjoying it. They're not doing it because they're like, oh, Addie has a diet thing. They're like, no, this place is great. And being able to enjoy the social aspect of food and not feeling self-conscious about it, and people saying, yeah, I have one friend who's like, does not eat dairy, it does not work for him. And his partner is also gluten and dairy free. And so he's like, oh yeah, of course. And he immediately was like looking for restaurants and would be like, oh, well, this place doesn't like, has like gluten noodles, so maybe we should go somewhere else. And that felt really nice to have someone consider that and just have it like another aspect of a experience to consider rather than something to be embarrassed by. And I just sort of felt really happy that I and my friends were really comfortable adjusting, and it was really pretty seamless.
Yeah. Okay. What was, and then I'm curious, then you said you kind of learned some tactics or learned some ways to be prepared. Can you think of maybe one thing that was most helpful in this kind of social aspect of food, whether it was a mindset or just like something like texting somebody, or like if there's like kind of one thing that you're like, this made a big difference?
I think the biggest thing for me has been planning ahead, has been not sort of, which is like twofold. It's planning ahead. Oh, people are like, I just want to get pizza. And then everyone's like, we're going to get pizza. And I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be an option for me. I just make sure that I have something that I can eat. I'm always like, that's fine. So I can be flexible. So then it's not, I'm the person that's like, well, I need to go to like, I don't want to make that situation about me. So I'm just like, no, I always have something to eat just in case. Or I know of things easily within like a convenience store, like a certain granola bar or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that is definitely something I can eat. And I don't have to go to some special store for it. I can get it anywhere. And another thing is kind of my partner's parents like to cook, but they like to cook a lot of pasta with like cream sauce and stuff like that. So I'm like, what are you going to cook? And sometimes they just still forget. And so I'm like, how about, and we kind of talk through a different option, but they've been really, now they are just sort of like, oh, they put the cheese on the side, or, oh, they make bread for people if they want it. And that has been the biggest thing, has been planning ahead for me, just so that I don't get so hungry that I'm like, God, I need to eat something.
I love that. Yeah. And you chose to work with us in a way where we're not doing so much like diet support with you. And you even told us at the beginning, or told me at the beginning, you're like, I'm a self-starter. I can figure things out. Just like, tell me what to do. I just need the plan. And so we got that for you. But, we even, for some of our clients now who want more support, we have a nutritional therapist we partner with. And so just to give you the credit though, like you really, like, we gave you a guideline, we did some testing, said like, if you do this, you will see positive results, which I think encouraged you to like really pursue the path, but you did that yourself. And so super proud of everything you shared. And you definitely, I mean, in so much, this is your journey. It's like, I'm assisting or I'm supporting or whatever, but you've done a phenomenal job, Addy. I'm really proud of you. So give yourself little celebration things. It also is really exciting to me to kind of go back to what you said about exercise, that in your customized health plan, we actually talked about for about 1 to 2 months, actually making sure you weren't even trying to do intense exercise, and just like that really gentle stuff, walking. I even like wrote floor yoga, stretching, and that as your energy returns, increasing. And that's exactly what happened for you, which is, it's just phenomenal, because or health is not, it's supposed to be a state of ease, not a state of dis-ease. And sometimes we think, oh, I just need to try harder, I need to strive more, or I need more willpower. Do you feel like you need less willpower? Like, is that like, do you feel like that's coming into your radar less? Like, I just need to force myself to do this? Or what was your experience of needing to make intentional choices of like, I'm going to take my supplement today, or I'm not going to eat that gluten? And where is it now in terms of willpower?
Yeah, I think at first I was fighting my default setting. So that was like really almost like taking a train onto a different track. And so that was, at first I was like, oh, right, I have to take this now. And I'm like, oh God, wait, when do I have to take this one? And with my supplements, and then being like, oh shoot, I didn't pack anything for lunch. Oh no, what do I have to eat? And so all of that was like kind of this steep learning curve at the beginning. And with exercise, I learned the hard way, where I was like, okay, no, I feel good. I can do like something more difficult. And then the next few days I'd be so drained. And I'd be at work and I would be like, oh, all I want is, and it just became a sort of cycle of tiring myself out. And
while trying to do something that everyone says is good for you.
Yes, I know. And so I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, I come from a really active family. And so I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I get all scared that I'm not taking care of myself right. But what ended up happening was I would force myself. I'd be like, oh, I need to do X. I need to do this exercise, or I need to go here or something. And it wouldn't be sustainable, but because I would get so tired. But now I can lift weights like 3 days at the gym and do different exercise for other days. And it feels like very much a part of my lifestyle, not like something I'm forcing myself to do. And so at first, also with food, I would see the food and I'd be like, oh, I really want that. And I had a lot of cravings at the beginning. But now cravings are so much lower. Like, it's just, I barely have them at all. I'm just like, oh, well, seems like I want something sweeter. Seems like I didn't eat enough at lunch, so I need to get this. And so there's a bit of intuitive eating and intuitive moving that has become a part of my daily life because um, for my health, I need to listen to myself and to my body um, in order for it in order for me to have like a good quality of life. And so it has definitely become less willful and much more natural to live the way that I'm living. And it's just so much more sustainable. I no longer feel like I'm exerting too much energy and then burned out, and then exerting too much energy and then burned out. So it was really slow and steady, but now I feel back up to my normal energy level.
Right, right. And you're like a lot of our clients, like you are a self-starter. You are an on top of it woman. Like when you came into my office, you always had your questions, and I was just super impressed with you. And you clearly were trying lots of different options, and it's so exciting to hear that. Like I'm even looking at your chart here that you filled out, and when you came in, you said you were losing muscle mass, and now you're not. Like that's at a 0 out of like that. It's not a thing for you anymore. I mean, just looking at pretty much everything you have here, almost everything's a 0, where it used to be a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 on a scale of 0 to 5. And then some of these things are like 1s or 2s. And these are what we'll keep talking about is, hey, let's fine tune some things, and what clues can we pick up from your body? And that's why we're going to work together for another 3 more months, but it's going to be a very different than the first 3 months.
Oh, totally. I
love that.
I know it was getting the train going. Like that was like, oh, now I'm getting back on the right track. And now I feel like I'm getting it to sort of be even more comfortable. I'm getting that last like 20%. This was like the first sort of like I'm changing how I look at my food and how I take care of myself. And now it's like, how can I make this better? And no longer like so bloated and so constipated. That's all I can think about. So I'm looking forward to fine tuning, but I'm also just so happy with how far I've come. It's I really didn't think that it would.
Yeah. And you cut out a bit, but she said, I think it looked like you were saying you didn't think it would happen that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's nodding. One more question, and then we'll end our little recap on the last 3 months, and we'll end this recording and move on to talk about the next 3 months. But I'm curious what it's been like. I know when you first started, this was an investment for you. You weren't like, I would love to go spend all this money on my health. Like we kind of want our bodies to just get healthier on its own. I think that's totally reasonable, but then they don't. So, you chose to make an investment. I know that you had some support from, I believe, your parents. And even that was like, you had to talk with them and like, kind of be like, hey, is this worth it? Is it going to do anything? Is it going to be effective? How is that now? Like, have you talked with your parents at all about, this investment, or do you hear from them saying like, wow, you're so different, that was so worth it? Or yeah, is there anything you have reflectively looking back on the investment and what it was like, be like right as you made the decision, and what it's been like as you've been seeing your results?
Yeah, it was being a student and also like sort of living on a tight budget. I was like, gosh, like money is always a headache, right? And I talked to my parents about it, and I had done sessions with you for visceral manipulation, and I really felt like I had a lot of trust with you, and I really felt like you were one of the first people that really understood what I was going through and really felt like that's what you did. And some people, I had been to so many doctors before, they're like, I don't know, eat more fiber. I don't know, and incorporate more vegetables. And I just was so frustrated. I was like, okay, I trust her. I think that this is going to work. And I know that she has my best interests at heart. And it was important for me to talk with my parents because I didn't always share with them how bad my symptoms were because I don't know. I just felt I was so embarrassed. If I'm being honest, I was embarrassed. It's like, how do you say I'm a 24-year-old with chronic constipation? Like that is so atypical in my head. In my house, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't want them to know that I was struggling so much. But since I've gotten better, they're like, wow, you really seem like your old self. And when I tell them how I was feeling, they're like, wow, I can't believe that this, I'm so happy that this is what changed. And like, this is what helped you change your body and get back to sort of homeostasis. And they were actually really shocked that I was struggling so much and that I had kind of let it go on for so long. And it was hard to let them know because I almost got used to it. And so I just kept ignoring it. And now that, since I started working with you, I was like, God, I wish I did this 6 months ago, because I've seen such drastic benefits, and the people around me have seen it too.
Yeah, that's actually really great to hear, because I mean, for me working with you, I want it to be the best investment of your life. Like, that is right. And so that's one of my things is my heart sympathizes when you're like, wow, I'm going to have to be really serious about this choice. And yet I also want you to, on the other side of things, I want all my clients on the other side of things of being like, wow, that was hands down the right choice. And I actually really like what you're saying. I feel like I don't talk about this very much, like on the podcast or anywhere else. But I like how you articulated that thing of being embarrassed to share, like with others. And I actually think back when I was really, really sick, my family knew that I was not doing so great, but why are you just going to sit around and like complain? Like,
right.
Like everyone's laughing and you're like, I hurt, I want to like go and like disappear from the world, because sleeping's uncomfortable or because sitting's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making all the facial expressions.
I just was like, God, my clothes don't fit me. And I was like, I had maybe I gained less than 10 pounds, but it was all of the bloating and inflammation that it was hard for me to feel comfortable in my body. And that was the hardest thing for my partner to feel, because he still saw me as me, but he saw that I was suffering and I wasn't feeling good. But it's, again, just like what you said, I don't want to be laying around being like, oh, this is the worst. Let me tell you, do you remember that time where I didn't poop for 5 days? Like, or this time, like, it's like, yikes, no one wants to hear that. It's like, it's not a light and fun topic to talk about. It's like, gosh, yeah, I feel like I'm not digesting until I lay down. So all I want to do is lay down and rest. So then I feel like my body can digest. And, but now it's easier to talk about it in hindsight because it's in the past. And, but it was not fun in the beginning or easy to talk about. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that I wasn't alone in this sort of like, gosh, just disappear. Like, I want all these symptoms to disappear. But I'm just happy I don't really feel like that anymore.
Right. It's easier to talk about when it's in the past. That's for sure. So that's great. I mean, that is, I mean, I'm very happy. I'm feeling the emotions right now because yes, like I'm so excited to even hear you say, and I've never had any client say, gosh, I should have waited longer to do this. It's always, I should have done this sooner. And there's never been regret for having done it at the time that they did it. And so, it makes me so happy to hear that, because I know that that's often maybe the number one thing people are thinking when they go into something like this is like, is it worth the money? Is it going to pan out? Am I going to get the results? And this is what we want to have. And from here, it's all upward. So thank you so much, Addy, for sharing your story with us. We're going to cut down the recording here and then talk about your future plans and kind of go through some nitty gritty for the next 3 months. But thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
Wow, was that interview amazing or what? I hope you are so inspired right now by Addy's story. I know I am, and I get to see this all the time with my clients. they make the choice to dive into their health, to take a leap, to be courageous, and see what they can find and partner with somebody to help them get the results that they're looking for. There are answers out there. You are not stuck where you are at, and I would love to partner with you. If you've been thinking about partnering with someone and digging deep into your health to find the root cause of your gut health problems, I would love to talk with you on our 30-minute free consultation call. You apply for this call by clicking a link in the show notes and filling in information. And if we can help you, I will then accept your application and you will be able to talk with me for 30 minutes. I'll learn a little bit more about your story, and we will find the best option for you to start working with us as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed this bonus podcast episode and hearing another client testimonial from one of our superstar rock star clients. And actually, all of our clients are rock stars. Let's be real. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on our next podcast episode.